for staying with us on the program. Let's jump right to the chase and just discuss Nigeria's debt burden beyond politics. I'm joined by Shirley West Boyegbe. He's a chartered accountant and an expert in financial matters. Thank you for coming on the program. We appreciate it. Quickly, I just asked you a question a while ago, and you made my head spin for a second. I said, would you say Nigeria borrows too much? And you said there's no blanket yes or no to that.
Of course,
walk me through it.
Borrowing is underpinned by several parameters.
Okay.
If you have the absorptive capacity, you have a clear-cut, what we call development stock project that determines the retirement of the borrowed fund.
Okay.
In the right time, you are said to be borrowing within the right frame of borrowing. But when you are borrowing and you are using a blanket, say, tax to GDP ratio, using net exports as compared to other countries, you are bound to make mistakes. And more so, when we don't have a financial discipline, when I mean financial discipline, we're talking about over-invoicing, contract splitting, and this is waiting for the borrowed fund. It's like you are borrowing to consume for a short term. When you borrow at long term to consume at a short term, you portend grave danger. If you borrow for short term and expect to pay back in long term, there's a danger. What we need to do, like in Nigeria case, some of us get worried when we use a blanket rate, say, yes, our tax to GDP in the world is 6.1. Fine. It also shows that we are not taxpayers as a citizen.
And that's a problem.
It portends great problem. You see, some people will easily say the recession of the one Nigeria just came out, we just exited, not fully, it's still fragile, was not because of the marketing alone of the nation by some people will just allude to. But what happened is the depletion in the oil as a result of the restiveness in the oil producing section of the nation actually permitted us to that problem, recession. Because Nigeria is oil and gas nation. And when anything happens within that place, which we cannot even determine, global shock from that end, Nigeria economy will sneeze and then possibly pass out. That's why we cannot tell you that you are borrowing too much or not too much, but you should look at your absorptive capacity, look at your repayment model, look at the uses and the returns that you think should be from that borrowed fund.
You just mentioned recession a while ago. Some persons I've spoken to still say it's hard to categorically and confidently say that Nigeria has survived the recession that happened in 2016. Do you share that sentiment?
I don't believe the recession we have exited. Though if you look at the National Bureau of Statistics report saying the first quarter of 2018 had made 1.95 as against -17 for the same quarter last year. Yes, these things are just in figures. They are in paper. Have we actually exited? And the danger of those kind of figure that are not reflected in the life of the people is what we call, some of us will call, just window dressing the information.
Right.
We may have exited because there is stable supply of crude oil.
And prices are doing better.
Prices are doing better. Once there is a shock in the international price, it affects the payment system, affects the economic indices. Which then means the lip service message of saying we are diversifying. I was just a little boy when I started hearing diversification. When you are diversifying, is it not supposed to be evidenced by people? You see them. They find, some of us will say the northern states are trying to jumpstart the economy with rice, millets, all those. By the grace of God, I also travel far and wide within this nation. I have problem with our nation. A nation that takes lives lavishly. We should watch our borrowing capacity and our borrowing spree. Yes, our credit rating may be B, as it were. There are nations who has credit borrowing of AAA. by Standard & Poor.
What are they doing differently that we're not doing?
There are many things we do differently that they are not doing.
Including borrowing to pay salaries, for example.
You know, if you borrow to pay salary, it's like you are borrowing to eat. And once you borrow to eat, when you get to the time you're supposed to pay, you have eaten your future. There was a year we had a 755 billion as budget deficit.
Right.
And the then minister was telling Nigeria that we are going to cover those deficits by signature bonuses, stripping of national assets, and all whatnot. I bite my inner man. How will you borrow and you are thinking you sell your property to return those money? Which means like a child who is sure he wants to inherit the father's house, he now went to borrow.
Hopefully by the time he gets his inheritance,
he will not pay back
the debts.
Then how will he now live the remaining life? When you eat your tomorrow, when you get to your tomorrow, what are you going to leverage on? We are not fully ready to open up the investment. Yes, we'll go outside, bring investors, come and do this, come and do that. Fine. There are things that determines investors' acceptance of an economy. Just last July, I had the opportunity of going to one conference in the Mauritius World Finance Conference. My brother, the security network there, for the period I stayed, for that 8 days or thereabout, I did not see a police officer with arm or gun or stick. And I reported a hotel management for one of their sharp practice against me. Instantly, the Ministry of Tourism took the thing up. But let me tell you, while I was there in that very difficult terrain, I tried to reach my own foreign minister. I called him severally, but he never picked. What was the reason for calling him? To see how he can link me up with Nigerian ambassador over there, or the High Commissioner as it is being called. But also no avail. When we don't have security, you don't have power, how do you intend to diversify?
A lot of scholars like yourself have said that we are growing, but we're not developing. Help us strike.
Yes, development is a more holistic indices for measure, economic indices for determining the wellness of a nation. Growth is just remove your import from your export. And when we have oil-based economy, and our taste for what we need is foreign-based, is likened to a person who produces what he does not eat and eat what he does not produce.
And that has economic ramifications.
Of course. There's no two ways about it. It is the theory that underpins practice. When you have the full-blown theory, it is there you now take out of it and see how you can implement it. Nigeria, yes, I would say is growing. Is growing. Are we developing? Look at the social sector. Look at the industrial sector. Funny to let you know, when I was a little child growing up, when I mean 15, 16, when we were going to Benin City, you see companies at the entrance to the cities. But what you see these days now are churches taking over those companies. Anyway,
let's talk about diversification. Evidently, Nigeria is an economy that's oil-driven.
Oil endemic.
Exactly. It's even endemic.
Endemic.
And then we hear about diversifying. Is agriculture going to come to the rescue?
Agriculture ought to have come to the rescue if there is a clear motive that the populace understand. When you have a theory that is top down without inclusive participatory,
right,
you have problem. We have had the needs, we have seed, we have lead under the Obasanjo regime. That was a wonderful package for diversification. But I asked myself, were the local Nigerians carried along in the articulation of that blueprint? Not too long, the Benin here, we have the proscription of this CDA, as they were called. I think that is the best thing that's ever happened to a Benin person. Because the CDAs, these are people that are in the local. We don't know our land tenure or whatever. is domesticated within the village. He said, Obanyato, Kevon Asewebu. It's our theory, our philosophy, and nobody contends with that. But when you are bringing diversification without going to the terrain, the industry you are going to set, are you going to set them on the blues? Are they all high-tech? Are they all electrically driven? If they are not technologically driven, and you need to site a plant, machine, man to handle that, you need to localize it. What is the local terrain vision towards that? The diversification of a thing, fine, is a laudable pursuit, but I am not seeing it as being fought with the right indices. If you must diversify and have the benefit, you must have all the social security network interwoven. Security of life and property, the power, effective judicial system, good policing, coupled with the input producing sector that is a cutting edge, I mean university system, who are up to this with the state of the art teaching, researching. There is a country in Africa whose research budget is higher than Nigerian education budget.
Just research alone.
Research and development budget is higher than Nigerian education budget. Then you ask yourself, we have to compete in the same global space. In any case,
let's talk about our borrowing again a bit further. We're told that every time we borrow, it means we go deeper into being enslaved, as it were, to our benefactors, as it were. But basically, again, we're told that what that means by implication is we have them call the shots, the IMFs, the World Banks, and so on and so forth, call the shots as to the direction of our economy. Is there any truth in that?
It is absolutely a truism. For the elementary finance, it is tested that it is better and preferable to borrow.
Okay.
Because the cost of your borrowing is chargeable to your business performances, which means it is the government that is helping you now to take care of the cost. But when you borrow without a clear direction of retirement, the borrower, or so to speak, the borrower and the lender, one is a master, the other one is a servant.
And that's natural.
There is no two ways about it, because he that plays the piper set the tune. I give you the money, I determine the direction you are to invest it on. Even before giving you the money, these are conditions that are not made known to the citizens of the nation. There is a country in Africa here now where China has taken over some of those investments they use as a collateral. Not only one. Kenya is I think Namibia and Zambia. Most of the natural resources they have used as a what do I call it now? As a security of collateral security have been taken over. We don't say you shouldn't borrow. Borrow with your absorptive capacity. Borrow with a clear-cut percentage of retirement. If as a university teacher my salary is 125, I should not borrow with the capacity of that 125. No, that 125 is my disposable income, which I'm taking home to expend.
Right.
Upon which kitchen allowance is there, so to speak. Children's school fees is there. Maintenance of your car and other things, your relationship with the church and so many other mother, all of them, they are there. On the long run, you see that your saving component is about 35%, about 30,000 or 30,000 or 25,000. That should be what you now benchmark with whatever you are borrowing, because it is the component of your saving that you now use to defray the one you have borrowed.
Not the entire disposable income.
Not the entire disposable income. The entire disposable income has a lot of windows that are waiting for them to flow in. And without them flowing in, you are not a man.
Right. In 2016, Christine Lagarde, the IMF chief, was in Nigeria, and she specifically urged the Nigerian government to seriously consider an upward review of the value-added tax from 5% to something around the neighborhood of 10%. Would that have helped our situation any better?
You see, when you come to me to take money, it determines what you do. Whether it is bitter to your populace, your citizens, or not.
Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter to me. All that matters to me is I'm looking at the business transaction from my own point. Fine. That would have shot up the receipts or the revenue for the government. But there are other people you need to bring into the tax bracket. Thank God for Fowler, who's been able to reveal. Do you know, it is you and I that pays tax. And tax, as it's defined, is a composite levy, which most time people don't like to pay ordinarily. But if I'm left to take decision, I won't pay tax.
Naturally.
Because the tax we are paying, they are being used to develop other nations of the world. There was a hotel in Mauritius I was told is owned by a Nigerian, not an industrialist, but a political actor.
So if we had our tax nets expanded, for instance, does that mean the borrowing will lessen?
The borrowing will not even lessen. Ordinarily, if you look at sometimes from the local balance, if you check how much Nigeria is realizing from the crude oil sales, and if there is transparency in the system, and there is efficiency in the management of these resources, I do not think we deserve to be borrowing. But the problem we have is there's a lot of stupidity in that sector, and the government have not even come out openly to tell us this is how they want to handle this transparency in that sector. To look at the technology we use in exploring this oil, they are not configured by us. We don't have input in them. A federal minister once asked, "Do Nigeria know the quantum of crude we export every day?" It's what they told us.
So are you saying if, for instance, the government says we export, say, as it stands right now with all of the cuts,
yes,
1 million barrels per day, you think there's a question mark over that?
I think the last information we have from the Minister of Petroleum, Minister of State for Petroleum, he said we are currently at 2.2 million per day. Sometimes Nigeria is a nation where falsehood is celebrated. We celebrate it because we tell lies lavishly. When the people at the top tell lies, it trickles down. It distorts the entire nation. But if the people at the lower, you see, sometimes we travel out, we go out, we see these things. This nation that do not even have these things, they are living where? We are borrowing is not the problem, but do you have the means of paying back? Last year, percentage of the budget that is for retirement of debt was about 24%. What it means is for every 100 naira, you are using 24 naira to settle, to pay debt interest on loans. But if your resources were well channels and effectively managed, I tell you, my brother, you will have little or nothing to do with borrowing. The borrow we talked about now, I traveled throughout Nigeria severally. The cost of doing one road, 10-kilometer road, if you see it on the paper, you know that Nigeria is not determined to move. All the public procurement laws, how do they arrive at those things? Who determines the arm's length transaction? Take for instance like this your glass. If you want to buy it, you and I know how much it will cost in the street. But a government officer, a government project, government contractor is to do it, you see a bogus bill. An accountant like us will certify it. You wonder, where is the integrity? Where is the drive, the morality? You wonder, are we actually having conflict of interest until we entrench merits in everything we are doing at recruitment processes, promotion processes? But Simeon, we are not going anywhere.
Let me tell you something about the TSA, because you already made mention of it in passing now.
Okay.
Some persons have said that TSA has created more, it's become more like a curse than a blessing for the country because of the bottleneck. They say it has brought into the whole system of governance.
Yes.
What's your take on that?
I think October 15, 2016, I was with the Minister of Finance, former Minister of Finance, Kemi Adeosun, a colleague. I told her, I said, look, well, this TSA is very sound. But from the messages and information we are getting from the MDAs, are saying is stiffening their operations. She told me, my brother, that's why we have come out with efficiency units. I said the efficiency unit you're talking about is to give a fair pricing to a fair job. She said yes. I said, okay, now when you were articulating this, the component of this integrity, what do you call it, efficiency unit,
right,
how many of the permanent secretaries, directors of the agencies were carried along? He said, yes, so many of them were carried along. Fine. The TSA is meant to create a memorandum of account.
Okay. That
the person who is in the saddle of finance and the president can just look at it at a glance. He knows where the nation is. Where one entity of the government does not have multiplicity of accounts.
As used to be the case.
As it used to be. There was one man, I won't, because we are on air.
Of course.
He told us that as intelligent as he was, an agency he superintends had 110 accounts. And this is his 5th year, the exit year. He's still not able to unravel 50 accounts. I asked him, who are the signatories to this account? He said he doesn't know.
And he was the chief of that agency.
He was the chief of that agency. I now ask, okay, now, as a public entity, where public interest is supposed to be protected, when they want to open an account with a bank, there's supposed to be an introductory letter from the parenting ministry.
Right.
Have you found that? He said when there's a collusion between the authorizing unit and the procurement unit, it's gone. But when these agencies were mandated as of September 2016 or thereabout, 2015, to turn in all they have, the agency threw up 8 billion. And from the viewpoint of the current headman, he didn't believe that that was from his own agency, his own university. My brother, the truth is we have good theories, we have good policies. You and I are cooperable in the implementation of this Nigerian project.
Why is it so difficult to implement policies if we are so brilliant enough to formulate and then just string these policies together?
It is difficult, and not only difficult, it's impossible to get it through, because the people driving it, how many of them got those jobs on the merits? I called a friend, chief, what do you call it, this executive secretary of one of the federal agencies. Friends of mine went for the interview. They said they invited 66. Only 33 of them attended. The written and the oral. At the point of releasing the name, a national agency, National Assembly, the committee in charge of whatever, started with the responsibility of oversight, whatever, came and said, well, let's see the FCC component. What do I mean by FCC? FCC, Federal Character Component. The executive secretary said, we publicize this project. Nobody applied. The people that applied, these are the ones. Said, no. And the executive secretary had to stop that work because he wants to get the best for the job. But the superintending unit wants to continue with the system we have been working with. That's the more reason why you cannot get, these theories are good, these policies are good, but who are the people determining it? If you got a job because that you do not even merit, I must have given you a condition for you to operate.
Okay.
You must look at my pulse, you must look at my breath, you must look at my eyelid. And when these are not there, you are fired.
What can be done basically to tweak our borrowing system? Because again, we're told that in 2017 we borrowed about 2 trillion naira, so far at least, to fund the budget for that fiscal period. What does that say about the future?
If they borrow 2 trillion to fund the budget, look at the component of the budget that was funded.
Okay.
Is it the current component or capital component? If it's a the recurrent component, it means you are borrowing to eat. And when you borrow to eat, you are eating your future. Now, if it is the capital component, Look at the economic viability of the capital component. It's like me now telling the governor of my state, come and put museum in my village. Fine, it's a capital project. Of what economic advantage is that to the project cost? We can tweak the borrowing if the civil society organization actually do what they needed to do. Before EFCC, ICPC, thank God for Obasanjo who brought all these agencies, though they are not working to their maximum capacity, their maximum expectation. We were having civil society who is supposed to ask, oh boy, how much is this? What did you do? Value for money audit is no longer entrenched in our system.
How did we get to lose that?
We lost it because when what you deserve based on your capacity and competence is not given to you, and even if it's given to you, it's given to you through what a political party leader brings out from his pocket and giving to you. Boy, this is my slot. Go there. You are representing me, not yourself. Your independence opinion is compromised. Your content and character that you got from your teaching, your lecturing, your research, whatever, is compromised. And when these things are compromised, the system is compromised.
A lot of analysts, economic analysts, that is, argue that there is an unfair tilting in favor of recurrent projects as against capital projects. That we're supposed to be allocating more money to capital projects as against recurrent projects. How do we strike a balance between both components?
I think let me make a categorical illustration with the 2015 national budget. I looked at the budgets because I happen to be in the committee of my institute where budget issues are estrayed. It was 24% of the total budget that is made for capital expenditure. And out of that, that was the same year they have 755 billion as the deficit to be funded by signature bonuses, sales of government assets, and other borrowing, whatever, floating bond, whatever, sovereign bonds. I now ask, which means the 24% as it were is not even guaranteed. Ordinarily, it's like you, my brother Uyi. If your salary is 100,000, economists call the savings as your foregone satisfaction. Because the satisfaction you're supposed to derive today now, you decide to forego it for tomorrow. That's what savings is. And that saving component of the capital component is supposed to be the satisfaction we desire to eat today, but we now opt for it to be kept tomorrow through investment. But when you don't, when you have a slim percentage of that, it portends grave danger. But when you travel out of this country, you see that Nigeria, even starting from our airports, is a shame. You see smaller countries that have a population of Edo South Senatorial District. You see the serenity, you see the organization, you see the neatness, you see the value for their airport. But when you, as you are alighting in our own international whatever airport, Lagos or Abuja, you'll be so sorrowful. Until we try to get the right person for the right job in this country, we are not ready to move.
But what are the implications where we don't allocate enough fund to capital projects?
The implications are, one, you see this high level of, this spiral nature of job seekers. Unemployment. You see most of our eggheads are moving out of this country in drones.
Brain drain.
You call it brain drain, but the government is not looking at like that. A man told me this year that one of the countries in the world came to a federal health center to organize an interview. Following the interview, over 100 medical doctors left that place, and there's no replacement. But you go to that health center today now, you see people,
public health facility.
Public health facility. You see people being packed like when you fleet your house with whatever, you see insects falling away, cockroaches, all of them, right. Dead bodies, human being. So the implication of ignoring the capital component is, you see, that unemployment is going to be on the level that scale that you cannot comprehend. You are going to see this social evil or social vices of corruption, this fighting, stealing, armed robbery. A man that is engaged, he worked till 4. He has gotten tired. Once he gets home, he's just to eat. Sometimes manage to view the television and see one or two things that's happening. He sleeps off. The next day, cycle continues. Right. But when you are in the morning, you don't have anything to do, and you are a boy, you are matured enough to have what a man ought to have. You can't cheat nature. What God has put in us, it will get to a point, it will speak. It's like a vision. So there are many things. You like to budget, Nigeria budget 10 trillion for arms and ammunition. I've told the people that care to listen. The more you budget for arms, the more you have people to kill. And the more the nation go deeper from normalcy. There are two theories of security. Economic welfare is, and just the military, the armory, whatever. The people that produces arms, they are encouraging most of the war-torn nation to embrace the arm. Buy arms, use them, share them, kill them. But China bloc believe in economic welfare, economic security. Once a man is fed, he has a salary to take care of his wife and his child or whatever, his 12 children, whatever, the size and the age, parents, whatever. I think he thinks less of evil. The next thing that can come from this is what we are seeing, that Togri. I think election is just coming now. Tell the youth, don't embrace Togri. Leave those people. Their children are not in the street. Their children are not fighting. They are not carrying arms, this and that. Yes, they will listen to you, but let the political class, the political actors, flip 100,000 naira at a group. That corrupt tendency that is still from the top, you manifest at the local, that Togri unit. The leader of the top will say, well, I am the leader. It will take 60%. The second person will say, Oga has taken his own, I'm close, I'm the next person, he takes it. Then the boss on the street, now the lower whatever now, will not take the crumbs.
So the cycle continues like that?
The cycle continues until we come together and say, well, what must we do? How do we get to this place? Objectively, not in the subjective terms. Because we have had several constitutional conference, several, some people call it a sovereign, whatever, this and that. The component of those things were well articulated. But we have anybody that have moral discretion to drive it?
Earlier this year, immediate past Minister of Finance, Mrs. Kemi Adeosun, had said that Nigeria will borrow for a while.
Yes.
When you heard that, did it bother you?
You see, people like us, we have tried to be friendly to the government circle. Even this October first week, I was with the Minister of Justice, Anthony, what do you call him, Malami?
Attorney General.
Abubakar Malami.
Yes.
We discussed extensively. It is not as if they don't know what is happening to the nation. All of them know. But the problem is, because of the only thing that is sure about the future, I will tell my students, the only thing that is so certain about the future is your certainty. When you don't have belief that tomorrow is going to be better than today, you have the tendency to amass so many things, whether they become obsolete before you pass out, whether they become completely useless before you are out of the life, it doesn't speak anything to you. They said they will keep on borrowing. We'll keep on borrowing. If Nigeria has 10 billion or let's say 100 billion, $100 trillion, Nigeria have the capacity to borrow those things. We have road, we can tell people, we'll do road, we'll do all this one, do all this, and yes, fine. Because these things are not there.
Right.
But how will you repay it? It's a repayment template that we are talking about. This 2019 budget now is around the corner. When you check the percentage of the budget that is going for funding or retirement or servicing the loans, it's so staggering.
How are we doing? How well are we doing when it comes to servicing the loans we've borrowed so far, from your point of view?
There are many models of retiring these debts. Well, if you have a good relationship with the lender, some can reschedule, some can do swapping, some can even say, okay, well, project tie or product tie. You give me whatever you have as your product, national product, in lieu of this. But the consequences of debt overhang is enormous.
Now, are we having that problem of debt overhang, right?
I think the last information from the National Bureau of Statistics, whether it's a 21 or 13 trillion naira, internal and external.
That's enormous.
Each time I see those things, I try to denominate it or maybe classify it in dollar terms or pounds terms. You see that if we continue in that trend, Mr. Oyi, we will get to a point where to be in Nigeria will be like a curse.
We've been hopefully we won't get to that point, but we've seen countries across this world. I mean, let's talk about the Asian tigers, for example.
Okay.
Most of us have read about them. Some of us have traveled to some of these
Yes.
countries. We have seen what they have done on the ground real time.
Yeah.
These countries borrow as well.
Yes.
You've already talked about leadership.
Yes.
We've talked about the fact that we've got to have a clear vision.
Yes.
We need to carve a clear path for
Yeah.
ourselves, economically and politically.
It's not negotiable.
Exactly. Nigeria is aspiring to be one of the fastest growing economies, one of the 20 fastest growing economies by the year 2020. And that's just a year and a few months away.
Yes.
Maybe about a year away.
Yes.
Is there any chance we will accomplish that, looking at the indices, looking at the realities, economic realities in front of us?
Let me give you a chart. Our export per capita is minus, there is a $497.
Okay.
Net export minus $540 million. What this means is, when we say net export or net import, match your import with export.
Okay.
If it turns negative, it means you are consuming foreign more than what you have. Then let's also look at, in fact, you see, we sometimes deceive ourselves by saying it is well, it is well. But it's not completely out of recovery. We can go back.
Okay.
If at this point we sit down and say, well,
I still salvage the situation.
what have we done that took us to this place? Where should we have been if we had not followed this way? If we have followed that way that we have abandoned, where should we have been? Nigeria and China were at the same level as at 1980s, in the 80s. But they sat down and said, no, this will not help us. You see this nation today, we celebrate the wet, not the manner from which the wet is made. We celebrate mediocrity, not intellectualism. No matter how sound, how egg-headed you are, if you don't have an affiliation with a political leader, nobody gives you. And even when you get there, they determine what you do. Until all of us say, okay, now we are sick and tired of the position, the direction of this nation. Let's come together and discuss on the table of brotherhood. This nation will not go where it's supposed to go. When this health issue of a thing was coming out, I recall discussing it with the current Minister of Defense. He told me they were gathering intelligence. I said, look, I am a village man. My mother is in the village. The intelligence we have is enough for us to nip this thing on the board. But you and I know what is the aftermath.
Talk to me about policy, for example. We have had policy specific problems in this country over a long stretch of time, and we have even now coined the term policy somersaults. What can we do to rejig or retool our policy structure in such a way that we can begin to have results-oriented?
We have no, Nigeria is not deficient of policy.
Okay, but implementation is.
It's just implementation and safe. In accounting, there's what we call business entity concept. The owner is different from the business.
Okay, so you separate them.
You must separate them. If I own a business and I'm borrowing a bag of rice from the store, I should not see the bag of rice from the store as my own. It's business owned.
So you pay.
I should pay. Otherwise, I will survive. The business will wither. Policy is not a problem from Nigeria at all. With this TSA, the BVM, and all these other, whatever you call them, my brother, if we have a selfless leadership who decide not to settle political patronage, decide not to mortgage the life and welfare of the people on the altar of political patronage, I tell you, we will get out of this wood within 10 years. We will get a direction. Policy is not our problem at all. You see, the policy so much you're talking about is also boiled down on the political will.
Okay.
I remember when Soludo was the CBN governor, the inspection, the bank inspection they did, he was not, some people say he was not courageous, some say he was frightened, some say he was able to release it. But it was when it was released by Sanusi, we now saw that most of the banks were trading on negative values, negative equity.
The whole time?
All the time. So as a result of that, we now saw, I think there is even one, last 3 weeks, one bank was how do I call it now, taken over the press or liquidated.
By new management? By
new management. And now there is another bank again now. I think Access Bank is on the verge of picking up Diamond Bank to avoid the hammer from the regulatory agencies. So, if you look at, find the current government of Muhammad Buhari, he has a lot of idea, a lot of policy he inherited from our former president, Goodluck Jonathan. Nobody is doubting those things. But have we decided to do it the way, according to the theories that underpin the policies? When we do not follow it to the letter, no matter, you know, this nation is so ecclesiastical that everything we believe in prayer. Yes, prayer has a way, what it can do.
Yeah.
Prayer can bring the cup of water here and put it in my mouth. The water is already provided. Fine, thank God for that. I need to stretch, exercise, and pick it and take a
some finance experts have said that we should borrow more from international lenders than locally. Do you think that makes any difference at all?
The local we're talking about, some of them come from treasury bills, some come from all these sovereign bond or whatever as it were. There's what we call pecking order theory in finance. You must exhaust what you have.
Okay.
Before you decide to go out. Because going out will lead to what we call financial risk. When you borrow from people outside, if you get to a point where the outsider will be afraid whether you'll be able to pay back the principal and the interest. And at that point, your next borrowing is going to be increased. The cost of borrowing will increase it because they don't believe that the higher the risk, the higher the returns. Based on your debt profile, you are seen as a risky investment unit. Borrowing from local, borrowing from international, from the point of view of the pecking order theory, right, it is advisable to borrow from the local. But my worry has always been the borrowed money, are they effectively and efficiently channeled into the productive sector? If I tell you, there was a census, I went to South Africa not too long. The Nigerian university teachers in Nigeria that are lecturing at the University of South Africa, South African University, my brother, they are more than 50% of the South Africans.
Why is that?
It is a matter of, you have taken time to go through the pains, because Bible said, sow in tears. Those that sow in tears will reap in joy. When you are going to school, you are sowing in tears. When you are trying to develop a skill, an expertise, you are sowing in tears. And after that tears, you are supposed to reap in joy. But unfortunately, you are not there. You are not even on the channel or the line of being there. So what you need to do now is, when there is no social security for you and your children and your generation, what do? You create one for yourself. After a friend told me that the world is about migration. Anywhere you get to, no waking up, there
was a time some of our debts got written off. That was under former President Olusegun Obasanjo.
Yeah.
Did we make the most of that opportunity to become better at the way we borrow? I mean, to retweak or kind of tweak our borrowing culture?
When the foundation is destroyed, my Bible says, what can the righteous do?
Maybe this time we should be asking, what can government do, right?
The debt forgiveness ought to have been an opportunity for us to rethink.
Okay.
But I don't know what happened. From the political space, you hear billion SS crude accounts, billions sovereign reserve, sovereign fund, this and that. I asked myself, there was a governor in the northern state, they said left 6.5 billion. That now finally became president of this country.
Okay.
It's of blessed memory. I told the people, I said, look, is that state fully developed that is leaving 6.5 billion? in the account? Oh, if you go to my account and see 10 million naira, when I'm living on rent, it means I'm not a good investor. Even if I choose not to use it to build a house for my personal whatever, I should use it to build a house and put a lettable house.
So
the debt written off, we never took advantage of it. We never took advantage of it. The only advantage we took was it now gives us a better rating to borrow.
Which is same old, same old.
The same thing. Because we're no longer having, we are not debt burdened, debt ridden nation. Our rating was now high, AA plus as it were. Opportunity to borrow. You borrow for trivialities and frivolities. Do we have the roads? Do we have the airports? Or the rail line? If there's a effective rail system in Benin, Edo, Nigeria, I would stay in my village in Orion there. And from there, short to University of Benin as a teacher. When I know I create the time. It's time-based, time-bound, you can get there. But it's not there.
So talk to us, going forward.
When last did you drink water from the public supply?
Well, I think I've lost count of the years now. But talk to me quickly about going forward. What can we do to change this narrative for the better from the perspective of a financial expert like yourself?
One, we must embrace merits.
Okay.
I've always told the political watcher that the greatest enemy of this nation is the Federal Character Commission.
So you think we should expunge that?
It should not only be expunged, it should be completely deleted. If the two words are not having the same thing. If you embrace merits, that merit will now make whoever get whatever he's looking for to be independent minded.
Right.
Two, we must have an institution that is without bias. And this institution that is without bias is also a product of merit personnel. If I got a job on the altar of I wrote the exam, I passed, and I was taken as the best, I have nobody, no godfather to settle.
So you get down to work.
I get down to work and do what I need to do. Three, we must have economic welfare that will act as social security. Funny enough, he said they are feeding school feeding. I won't allow my child to eat in the public. But even myself, I don't eat out. Then you say you are cash conditional cash transfer. What you are doing is 5,000, 10,000 as it were. I frown at that. Those money could be used to do one hospital, develop the hospital, state of the art. Health has gone beyond what you have in the brain. It's not technological, it's high tech. But the brain is there to give you a theoretical perception. But the technology is there to finish everything. The next thing is we should have an incorruptible judicial system. And these things I'm saying today are all function of merits. If you have the judge that got there on the altar of merit, he will dispense justice without fear or favor. We should also have an educational system that has a cutting-edge knowledge. And how would this one be? If you have a vice chancellor who knows what he has to do to lift the university beyond where he met it, he will look for the egghead individuals among his departments and faculties, those that will help him to articulate his dream to achieve that goal. No matter whether you are from his client or from his in-law, whatever, this and that, he picks you based on merit. So the totality of it, or where Nigeria need to get at, is just let's expand that Federal Character Commission and treat everything with merit.
No matter where you come from.
No matter where you come from, even if it is the 3 of you or 10 of you are from the same village, so long as you have national interest. Why are people attacking Donald Trump? That is nationalist. Yes, we became American before we became a member of the global community. If you
so the American first policy checks out with you, doesn't it?
In fact, I'm in love with that man. I'm in love with that man.
Okay, I think that's where we're going to leave this discussion this morning. You have been able to help us do justice to this all-important discussion of Nigeria's debt burden beyond politics. I've been talking with Charlie West Boyegbe. He's a chartered accountant and a financial expert. Thank you for coming on the program.
You're welcome.
And we hope you enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you very much.